Just my thoughts about the JAS 39C or D Gripen for the Philippines, August 2022. Please like and share the video, and subscribe to the channel. This is to continue my series of discussing fighter aircraft that are being offered to or considered by the Philippines. And in this video I will share my thoughts about the other aircraft that the Philippine Air Force said they are seriously considering for their multi-role fighter aircraft acquisition program, the JAS 39C or D Gripen aircraft made by the country of Sweden. As usual, just a disclaimer, these are just my opinions based on the facts that I am able to gather on my own at the time that this video is made. I will be putting links in the description showing where I got some of the information that I used on this video. Compared to the other aircraft the Air Force said they are also considering, which is the F-16C or D Block 70 Viper, the Gripen is much lighter by around 26% in terms of empty weight and up to 36% in terms of maximum takeoff weight. The Gripen's F404 engine is also less powerful by around 29%. The combination of all these means that it won't be able to carry as much payload and fuel as the Viper and thus won't be able to go as far or carry as much. The Gripen though has the same engine as our FA-50PH Fighting Eagle aircraft and the Tejas Mark I, meaning it will have the same performance as those on some fields. However, the Gripen C or D does have a more powerful PS-05A radar compared to the ELM 2032 radar that the FA-50 and Tejas Mark I uses. The PS-05 radar though still uses a previous generation mechanically steered array antenna compared to the more advanced active electronically scanned array or ESA antenna that the F-16 Block 70 uses. The Gripen's manufacturer Saab AB has experimented with using an ESA antenna on the PS-05 also, but it remains to be seen if they will install it on the Gripens they are offering to the Philippines. Unlike the FA-50 and just like the Tejas Mark I, the Gripens are made to be multi-role fighter aircraft from the start, hence it has more and better options for weapons. And compared to the Tejas Mark I, it has better weapons overall. For example, its Meteor missile is the longest-ranged air-to-air missile made by the West that is in service as of now. It has a much longer range than the AIM-120C missile that the United States approved for sale to the Philippines. The United States actually has a longer-ranged AIM-120D version already available. But for some reason they only approved the previous version AIM-120C to be sold to the Philippines. But even if they approved the AIM-120D to us, it would still be outranged by the Meteor missile that the Gripen has. Another weapon advantage that the Gripen has is its RBS-15 missile, which can be used against moving ships or non-moving land targets. So we won't need to have to use a specific missile against ships and another type of missile against land targets. In contrast, the AGM-84 Harpoon missile that the United States approved for sale to the Philippines is being advertised solely for use against vessels. One of the biggest advantages of the Gripen is its ability to conduct so-called dispersed operations, meaning it is not dependent on long runways but can in fact operate from roads, highways, small airstrips, etc. This means it will be harder for enemies to stop its operation because the Gripens can move and operate from one location to another, making it difficult to find. Other aircraft can also do this, but not to the level that the Gripen can because this philosophy was built into its design. Right from the start it was designed to be rugged and be maintained by a team led by mechanics but composed mostly of what's called as conscripts or part-time soldiers. The aircraft, for example, was designed to be as low to the ground as possible so it will be easier to access by humans, and even its access panels can be opened or closed using only finger-operated latches. It has specially designed and manually operated lifting tools which allow easier and safer manual handling of its weapons, engine, etc. And all these tools are housed in trailers which can be pulled by vehicles to almost any location. Not a lot of other aircraft have this type of feature. This philosophy and design of ruggedness and easier maintenance help drive its operating costs down to the point that, as per a study made by the defense publication Janes back in 2012, show that it is 33% less to operate than an F-16C at only $4,700 American per flight hour compared to $7,000 per flight hour. Lower operating cost though doesn't mean no operating cost, as the South African Air Force has found out since they have been periodically having problems maintaining their Gripen aircraft over the years despite its already lower operating costs. But I think this is more of a problem of the South Africans than of the Gripen, as they even have problems maintaining their other aircraft like their smaller Hawk aircraft, which are advanced jet trainers similar to the FA-50PH aircraft of the Philippine Air Force. In terms of price, as I mentioned in my video about the F-16 Viper, the lowest package price I saw in the internet for the Gripen C&D was back in 2008 when Thailand bought 12 aircraft for only $1.1 billion. Or $92 million per aircraft. In contrast, the lowest package price that I could find for the F-16C&D Block 70 aircraft was when Slovakia in 2018 bought 14 aircraft for $1.8 billion, or around $128.5 million per aircraft. So based on this, it looks like the Gripen C/D are much cheaper than the Viper, and will fit into the Air Force's budget of $96 million per aircraft for their multi-role fighter. In terms of availability, there aren't many buyers of the Gripen these days, particularly with the Gripen C/D, and Saab AB has been guaranteeing in its sales pitches to the Philippines that it can start delivering aircraft within 24 months upon the effectivity of the contract. So this means if we order them this year of 2022, we can expect start of the delivery no later than 2024. In terms of restrictions, Sweden is not known to install restrictions on their aircraft unlike the Americans. They have also been in fact quite open to allowing access to the source code of the Gripen like they did with Thailand. So they will likely give us access to those also, especially if we insist, hence we will be able to see for ourselves if they indeed put any sort of restrictions or not. This also means in theory we will be able to integrate other weapons and equipment on the Gripen if we want to, if they allow us full access to it. The problem though may be in terms of political restrictions, as Sweden does seem to have a liberal society, hence will tend to object to selling their military equipment to countries which they see as unworthy of it. As I posted a video about back in November of last year, in 2021, Sweden's own armed forces reportedly leaked to the Swedish press about a pending deal with the Philippines for the Gripen aircraft, and their press made a lot of noise about it. Personally, I think the Swedish government should do an investigation to find out who within their armed forces did that and fire them. Also, Sweden these days is moving even closer to the sphere of influence of the United States after they formally applied for application into the North Atlantic Treaty Organization, and the Gripen's engines are designed by the Americans, hence they could be more submissive to the decisions of the United States now than they did before. However, I did notice that while the Swedish press tends to make a lot of noise about selling their military equipment to certain countries, it doesn't seem to make much impact in terms of stopping the sales themselves. Like in the case of Thailand and Brazil for example, both of which don't have ideal outlooks in terms of human rights records and have been opposed by the Swedish press, but both ultimately still went on as expected. So to summarize, the Gripen being a lighter aircraft with a less powerful engine won't have the same range and payload performance as the F-16 Block 70 Viper. It also has a less advanced radar technology than the Viper. On the plus side, it does have better weapons than what the Americans are offering us. Has a lower operating cost, seems cheaper to acquire, is available quickly and has a much better dispersed operations capability. There might be some political issues if we buy them, but it could turn out to be just noise like in the case of other countries. Thank you for watching the video. I invite you again to like and share it, and subscribe to the channel.